you have these leadership qualities, you will become a leader. No. You can become a leader because, of course, to reach a certain point, you have to work on yourself. You have to take a few steps, and we cannot just predict a future for somebody. A lot of people who have the stringy kind of handwriting, that means that their mind is working faster than their brain. That is why they are not putting in effort to complete the whole alphabet, all the letters and everything. It's for them. And it's for the chemist. They don't have to, make others happy by writing the whole alphabet. They don't care.
Handwriting, loops of handwriting, the middle part, if it's wavy, if it's not properly finished, that also tells you about how your health is.
Sometimes, yes, it does. It's one of the indicators. Handwriting does not have to be aesthetically pleasing. It's about the characters that you write and how you're writing it. First alphabet of your signature. For example, if I write Nishtha Khattar, right? Are the N alphabet and the alphabet K capitals or big in size? That means I want people to consider me as a person of authority, or I want to leave impression, I want people to remember me. And if I am not using any capital letter, all the alphabets, even N in the name Nishtha, is small. That means I don't have the need or the drive to be recognized.
Let this podcast be a mini course for people who want to know about graphology.
For sure.
Or let's say, who want to come to this field.
Right.
So after this course, after this podcast, so to say course, they can read few books, go much deeper if we plan further to make it as a series, and they can go into graphology and become a graphologist.
Right. For me, when graphology is one thing that I did out of interest, and as far as I remember, I was a very young kid at that time that I got to know about graphology. Right now, there are a lot of people who know about graphology already, but for me, it was CID. When I was a kid, I used to watch CID, and there was this episode where Dr. Tarika, the tall, curly hair girl, she was analyzing somebody's suicide note, and that is when she could figure out what was the state of the mind of that person who committed suicide. And that is what blew my mind. Oh my god, is that actually a thing? And that is when I knew, okay, this is something. And I just went forward with my life, with my school. I was a little kid, as I said, and I got to know about graphology just like that when I was maybe scrolling Instagram, and that is when I reconnected the dots. Okay, I know about it, let's search about it. And then I saw things about it, and that is when I knew it's called graphology. I didn't even know if it's called graphology. And graphology, like we said, let's take it as a mini course. Graphology is actually analyzing or decoding somebody's personality through their handwriting. A lot of people have that taboo that you can tell about person's past, you can tell about person's current situation, or you can tell about somebody's future, like it's some
Like it's astrology.
yeah, exactly. People actually consider, not consider, but they do get confused sometimes when we talk about graphology. Oh, tell me my future. It's like that. Because I remember when I first introduced this to my family, my parents, okay, tell me, what do you think? What is in my future? And I told them, because if they can think about it, it can come in anybody's mind, right? It's a very, human thing to think of it that way. So,
But with the traits that are seen in handwriting,
right.
if I'm not wrong, vaguely we can predict how the future is gonna be.
You can sum up, because when you can decode somebody's personality, you can of course, sum up, oh, if you are that kind of a personality, this is where you lead to.
So if you are a confident personality, a leadership personality, and
Exactly.
these things are there,
Exactly.
then you go towards that way.
Right. You can always tell what profession can be suitable for you. You can always tell them, you can always analyze, but you cannot just predict, okay, you will become this. You cannot just be sure, okay, you have these leadership qualities, you will become a leader. No. You can become a leader because, of course, to reach a certain point, you have to work on yourself. You have to take a few steps, and we cannot just predict a future for somebody.
So, people actually go to classes of graphology.
Right.
Not to say graphology, they call it cursive writing courses.
Exactly.
And they learn how to write properly.
Yeah.
They learn how their handwriting can be more attractive or beautiful
Correct.
for others to read.
Right.
I'm sorry if I'm wrong.
No, go
but
ahead.
Will that affect their character as well if their handwriting changes?
Okay. So, as you said, to beautify the handwriting so it looks good and everything, there is no such thing as a good handwriting. That's the first. The other thing is,
I want to thank you for this statement because as a doctor, we are usually said that your handwriting is worse.
I know. I mean, you cannot even read what handwriting it is. You cannot read what you have prescribed it to me, right? You'll always go to the chemist and only they can read what you've written, right? No normal human being can read it.
I think we write a word with
Right.
just 3 characters and
Right.
others are just strings.
Strings, exactly. That
So
is.
if it's
yeah.
paracetamol, it's P, T, and L. And the person
Exactly.
understands that
Right.
it's paracetamol.
Paracetamol, and rest all of these alphabets are just strings.
Exactly.
So I'll tell you a fact about it. So it happens whenever. It's not just doctors. Of course, it applies more to doctors and they can resonate to it more. But lot of people who have the stringy kind of handwriting, that means that their mind is working faster than their brain. That is why they are not putting an effort to complete the whole alphabet, all the letters and everything. They're just putting it because it's for them and it's for the chemist. So they don't have to, make others happy by writing the whole alphabets. They don't care.
They just want the work to be completed.
Exactly, because their mind is working so fast that they don't care if their hand is doing the job or not. So yeah, that is another fact. So whenever if anybody comes up to you and tell you, oh my god, Nitin, you have the worst handwriting ever, what have you written, just tell them, okay, I'm sorry, but I'm a very smart person, my mind is working faster than my hand, so just back off. You can just tell them that. You can record this clip and show it to them. Okay, if you don't believe me, look at this.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Here's a graphologist saying the same thing.
Graphologist saying the same thing. So yeah, just go for it. You have a comeback now. So just use it. So coming to the question that you said, will it affect the personality of a person if they try to beautify their handwriting or work on their handwriting? I would say there are correctional ways that where you can correct your handwriting, and people do ask for tips. Okay, you told me this is not, this is where I'm lacking in my handwriting. That is why that describes that behavior of mine or that personality trait of mine. But at the same time, you cannot force your personality by your handwriting. You have to work on yourself. That's called inner work, right? Where will the inner work stand if you can correct everything through your handwriting? So again, like for an example, when we were kids, we were in pre-nursery, when we were taught alphabets, we were given the calligraphy books.
Yeah.
To, your handwriting should be this, your handwriting should be that, you should write the whole thing.
2 red marks.
Exactly.
Then there is this 2 black lines.
Blue lines, yes, that divides the upper part of the handwriting, middle part of the handwriting, and the lower part.
So you have to be in, if smaller characters are there,
that
they
has
have
to be in
in
the middle part.
Exactly.
Right. So a fun fact there as well. So the upper part, the middle part, and the lower part of your handwriting is equivalent to the upper part of your body, middle part of your body, and the lower part of your body. So the upper part of the handwriting will describe how your personality, how your brain works, or are you a gossip king or a gossip queen, or can you keep secrets or not. Everything that describes the upper part of the body will be represented in the upper part of the handwriting. The middle part will tell you about the middle part of your body, and the lower part of the handwriting will describe the lower part of your body.
Wow.
So that is another fact.
So let's go a bit deeper into this.
Okay, for example, let's talk about the upper part of the body or the upper part of the handwriting because it's equivalent, right? For example, when I'm writing an alphabet, for example, I'm writing the alphabet H, right? So the loop that is going is not very equivalent to the lower part of the body, right? The loop is this small where it should have been this big, right? If it's that small, that means you're not dumb, you're not stupid, no, but it's just you have a lack of ideas maybe, right? And whereas if it's huge, like abnormally huge, like it's not the normal size either, it's huge, that means that you have so many creative ideas, you have so much going on in your head, you have creative ideas, you are just not finding the outlet to put it.
Okay, that is the reason you told about my handwriting.
Exactly, because you have a very huge upper part in the handwriting. That is why I said that you have so many great ideas, so many creative ideas, and you were just hunting where you can put all of your creative ideas to. Right? Am I right?
That's impressive.
Yeah, so that is what it means. And for the middle part, for example, anything in your middle part of the handwriting is crooked, right? You are not completing the alphabet, or it's like a little wavy or anything.
In middle, how you cannot complete? Because
For
down you cannot complete, up you cannot complete,
Right.
but in middle, how you cannot complete it?
For an example, in the alphabet A, right? Okay, we are taught cursive handwriting. Let's talk about the normal kind of handwriting. And if you put, for A, you have to put a loop and then a stick,
Yeah.
right? What if you do not complete that loop? Or if it's crooked, if it's a little wavy, right? And it's not just one alphabet. You have to analyze the whole thing, the whole sample that you have of the handwriting, so that you can see if it's very continuous, if it's very prominent in the handwriting sample, then you can conclude, yes, this is the personality trait. You cannot just go by one incidence where they wrote it that way and you are coming to a conclusion. No, you have to see if it's prominent, if it's happening again and again. That is when you conclude, okay, this is a part of their personality, right? So for example, as I said, middle part mein, if anything is crooked, right, that is, you can tell them, okay, maybe you have a back problem, maybe you do not have a healthy gut. You can tell them, you can actually tell this by looking at their handwriting. I remember I was analyzing my brother's handwriting. He's 10 years elder to me, and I was a kid when he had this back problem in his tailbone. I didn't even remember when I was analyzing in writing, and when I even gave out him his report, I did not remember at all. He's my cousin. So I told him, with looking at his handwriting, that the middle part of your handwriting is a little crooked. That means that you have a health issue maybe, because it's crooked. You maybe have a health problem in your middle part of the body. And that's when he realized, and that's when he mentioned it again. Remember that I had this fall on the stairs and I had problem with my tailbone and everything. That since then I have this problem. I have a problem in my back, in the lower part of my back.
Wow. So your handwriting, loops of handwriting, the middle part, if it's wavy, if it's not properly finished, that also tells you about how your health is.
Sometimes. Yes, it does. It's one of the indicators.
Wow.
It sure is. So, for example, let's talk about the lower part now. We'll see how the loops are going. Are the loops finished? Are the loops stick-like figures? Or are you not completing the loops? You are making the loop, but it's not going up until the end.
So you are like, let's say there's a G, so you are going like this, but you're leaving it here. You're not completing it.
Exactly. It's unfinished, right? So that means you have a tendency to leave your work or leave your tasks unfinished. Right? For example, for me, when I was in grade 6 or 7, I remember my handwriting was that way, that I used to just drop the loops. I used to do it for aesthetic purposes because that was in trend. But I remember when the trend was over, even unconsciously then, I was just leaving the loops there. And I remember my mom literally being after my life to, complete whatever you were starting. I used to start drawing. I used to start coloring a piece of paper, drawing it, and I got bored. I used to have maybe a snack or something, and I used to just leave it. I never finished that drawing if I started it. And that is how I remember when I analyzed my own handwriting. Yeah, I had this kind of handwriting in those grades, and that is how I was. So, as your personality develops, your handwriting changes. Your handwriting is not the same as it was in grade second and third, because of course they were formative years as well. But your personality wasn't the same at that time either. As your personality grew, your personality developed, as you evolved, same went with your handwriting. It evolved, it changed. So it's the magic of handwriting.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you told about wavy handwritings.
Right.
That basically means that your mind is working faster than your hand.
Yes.
Does that so wavy means that you are not writing a full alphabet, but you're just waving it up?
Yes, strings, like just making the strings. You're not putting the effort to completely write that alphabet. For example, you said paracetamol, it's P, T, and L. You did not make the effort to write the alphabet A, write the alphabet R, write the alphabet M. Nothing. Because again, it doesn't matter to you. You were just doing the task.
Yeah. What about people who write in capital letters?
Okay.
Like you can't see their waves, right? You can't see the strings.
Exactly. For people, okay, we usually write capital letters when we are writing anything to make an emphasis.
Yeah.
Right? For it to stand out on the page, or to write a heading, so that this is what it means, or you want to focus on that heading. That is why you are writing in capitals. Right? For example, I'm writing a text to my mom and everything, or my sister. I'm writing come here, or I'm writing in capitals come here. So it changes the tone, right? When you use the alphabets that are in capitals, it changes the tone of what you say. Right?
Actually, if someone texts me come here and the same in capital, my mind makes it verbally to think this way, that they are saying, if it's normal, it's like come here.
Right.
And if it's capital, it's
They're
like
angry.
come here.
Come here. That is the emphasis of the whole text that you are doing. Come here is the important part of the text.
Yeah.
Right? That is why you use the capital letters. Right? So when you write capital letters in general, even where it would have been fine if you hadn't used the capital letters, that means your personality is that way, that you like to stand out in a room full of people. You just don't want to sit at the back. You like being recognized, and it's not in an unhealthy way. For the unhealthy ways, we have different things that will come up in the future. But at the same time, when we're talking about capital letters, it means that the person who is writing it likes to be in the picture, wants to be recognized. And who doesn't like to be recognized? I mean, if you're doing the work, of course you would want to be recognized, right? And there might have been some time where you didn't use capital letters as often as you do now, because that means that earlier it didn't matter to you, but now it does. So you started to write in capitals. And it's very unconscious. You're not doing it consciously. It's very unconscious. So capital letters is equals to emphasis, importance. That is what you want in life.
Is there some healthy use of capital letters and unhealthy use of capital letters? Like as you told, there are negative impacts as well.
Right. So for example, if you're writing the whole paragraph with just capital letters, that's it. Literally, that's it. There are no small alphabets. There are no baby alphabets in there. So, of course, that is unhealthy. And so pressure. With what pressure you are holding the pen, with what pressure you are writing it.
So that means on your page, how much pressure are you putting on the page with
Exactly.
the pen?
And you can tell, for example, I have this page right here. If you have written it with a lot of pressure, and if I touch the back side of the page like this, I can tell how much pressure you've used.
Yeah.
And if it's not coming out, it's not popping, that means normal pressure. And if I have to do it like this to read it, there's hardly any pressure. But you can always tell by the back of the page to see how much pressure they've used.
Okay.
Right? So for example, a person has used capital letters in their entire paragraph with a lot of pressure. That means that they are just in the need of a lot of attention. That becomes toxic. That's the unhealthy way, right? Because putting a lot, okay, so pressure means how much energy the person is putting into something. If the person is putting average amount of pressure, they put average amount of work in doing something, or they are much, how do I put it in words, it's more of the hard work they are putting maybe, or how much they are interested in doing the job, how much motivated they are in doing something, right? That will tell the pressure. So if it's all capital letters, again, because capital letters is emphasis, and if they're using a lot of pressure in their handwriting, that means that they are so much focused on doing that thing that becomes very unhealthy. Because excess of everything is bad, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, excess use of capital letters, excess use of pressure, when it comes together and it's going on for a while, that means that it's becoming unhealthy.
And if it's very light, there's no pressure.
They're
And
taking it very
there's a
lightly.
medium pressure. How do you?
For example, if they are using very light pressure, right? Okay, it also depends on what kind of pen they are using sometimes, right?
That's what I wrote actually to ask you. So a ballpoint pen will need external pressure,
Exactly.
right? A gel pen in that case will go smooth.
Right.
So
You're
which
missing one kind of pen here.
fountain pen?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fountain pen.
As a writer, how can I miss a fountain pen?
Exactly, right? Whenever you ask for a sample of handwriting to analyze, it's always suggested that they use that kind of pen.
Fountain pen.
Fountain pen.
Why is that so?
Again, because for gel pen, you don't have to put a lot of effort while
writing for it to come on the paper. For
ballpoint pen, you have to put pressure for the ink to come out, right? It's not as smooth as gel pen. But for the fountain pen, it's effortless. It's not.
It's on you that you want to put pressure or not.
Exactly.
Anyway, the ink is flowing.
Anyways, because the ink is gonna come out, right? So for gel pens, it's completely effortless. For ballpoint pens, it's a lot of effort. We don't use it consciously anymore, I know, because who puts that much of brain while writing? But when you come into it analyzing the handwriting, it's always preferred the fountain pen, because the amount of pressure that you have to put while writing, it's the balance of both gel pen and the ballpoint pen. So it's always suggested to use that kind of pen. Now coming on to the pressure, while the pressure is very light, right? That means that person is fine. They don't want recognition, or they're not putting a lot of effort into what they want in their life as like a personality trait. They won't put a lot of hard work into it. They're very easygoing. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't care, right? That is their mindset. And for the medium pressure, okay, I am putting in the efforts. That's good. Do I need to put more? I'll put it. If I need to work, if I need to take a break, I'll take, they put healthy amount of pressure. Yes, healthy amount of pressure. Everything is healthy, right? And if it's a lot of pressure, oh my God, I need to do this. I need to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this in order to get this done.
Now that can be confidence also.
Overconfidence. The healthy, the normal kind of pressure is confidence.
Okay.
The extra amount of pressure that is in their
What
handwriting.
about that doesn't show ambitious?
Of course it does. Of course it does. So I'll tell you another fun fact here. When we ask for a sample of handwriting, we always ask the person, first things first, you have to have a plain paper, not the ruled kind, because there will be a few things that will be neglected for us to analyze. We won't be able to, analyze that part of your handwriting. That is one. Second, you have to sit on a comfortable chair and table. You don't have to be in bed and okay, I'm writing it to get it analyzed. No, that's not the way you do it. The third point would be, what I suggest, you have to write a letter to yourself. Take your time. You don't have to script it. Nobody is going to read what you've written. Nobody cares. No graphologist cares what you've written. Honestly, we do not get into emotions and everything.
Actually, I would like to interrupt a bit.
Yeah.
I always thought that it would be best if the analyzed script is pre-written. Like if you have, like I wrote it like 3-4 days back without even thinking that you'll be going to analyze it.
Right, right.
So is it not the best?
It sure is. It sure is. I'm
Because
not saying
when
it's
I'm
the bad.
already having this in mind that a graphologist is going to see it, I'll try my best to make it as beautiful as possible.
Till what extent? Till what extent would you try to beautify it?
Like a letter is nothing, like, it's just
Right?
1,000 words.
Exactly. Not even 1,000. I asked for 150 to 200 words.
Yeah, so
That's
even
it.
150 words, anyone can pretend it.
Exactly. Anyone can, falsify about
Exactly.
how their handwriting actually is. But would they be able to, in the starting? Okay. Let's just finish one fact and then
Okay.
I'll jump on to the other fact,
Sure,
okay?
sure, please.
So the first fact that I was talking about was that you have to write a letter to yourself, because when you write a letter to yourself, there might be a few words little above the baseline that you are following or little below the baseline that you are following.
Now, baseline means
The line
a
that you're
parallel
writing in.
line to the page.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. So if the word is going above the baseline that you are following, the imaginary baseline that you have on the paper, if it's going above, that means you have a positive emotion connected with that word. Right?
If the particular word is going up.
A particular word is going up, then the sentence.
Okay.
Right? That means you have a positive emotion connected to that word, associated with
Wow.
that word. And if it's below that baseline or below the other part of the sentence, the rest part of the sentence, it means that you have some kind of negative emotion connected to that word. Right? So that is why we ask that, okay, just write a letter to yourself. And when you try to write a letter to yourself, as you said, a person might try to, pretend that they have a very good handwriting. That would be when they are copying a paragraph. They are looking at a paragraph and they're writing it, right? But when you try to write a letter to yourself, you will be so much carried away with the emotion while writing a letter, and that too to yourself, you would forget that, oh, I need to beautify my handwriting. That's a distraction from that, right? That is one fact.
Because to think about yourself and write is
A distraction?
already a very deep emotion.
Exactly. Exactly. So you wouldn't even remember that, oh, I have to write it in a very beautiful way. I have to make it aesthetic. No. You wouldn't be able to do that. And if you are able to do that, you are a very pretentious person. You're not showcasing yourself as you are.
Means you are pretending yourself.
Yeah.
You are a pretentious person
Exactly.
in real life.
Exactly. That's a part of your personality, that you don't show your true self. You're pretending to be someone else. So, whose loss is it? Not mine. It's yours, of course. You are paying me to get your handwriting analyzed, and you're not showing me who you actually are.
If you don't know any client personally,
Right.
then it anyway doesn't affect you.
Exactly. If I know someone personally, I know that they're not going to come to me. They will find someone else to analyze the handwriting. And I would also prefer, if I'm in the learning stage, I would also prefer, okay, so there are pros and cons to this situation. If you already know the person and you analyze their handwriting, you would be able to validate, yeah, that's true,
Yeah.
that's true. And if you know the person again, you would be biased. No, I don't think that's true about her. No, that doesn't seem like her. So you will be biased. So it's up to you how you maintain the balance. You have to be in a very clear headspace when you're analyzing somebody, their handwriting, and you're analyzing their handwriting. So of course, it's up to you how you maintain the balance, but it's very important for you to do that.
Actually, we were talking about the parallel line and it goes up or down.
Right, exactly. So when it goes up, so alignment in handwriting matters. It matters a lot, be it of a single alphabet going left, upright, or right. if you are not following the margin of the page, if it's on the left side of the page, if it's in the middle of the page, or you are leaving a lot of margin, that is why your handwriting is more on the right side of the page. That also matters. If your handwriting is going upwards, is your handwriting just like in the straight line, like using a scale, right? Or if it's going down, that matters. So when we talk about the alignment of a particular alphabet, for alphabets, if they're going left, right, or upright or right, if they're going left, they are underconfident. They need to build confidence. They put themselves in self-doubt. They might not, okay, they would be the kind of people sitting in the back corner of a room, not wanting to be recognized. Maybe introverts. And if it's upright, again, healthy way, they have good amount of confidence. They're not overconfident. They live in the present, of course, and at the same time, they are okay. They'll be with everyone. They're ambiverts. They would speak less where they need to, where they'll speak more when they need to, and they'll be, just very comfortable.
Their zone matters.
Their zone matters. And then if the handwriting is towards the right, then it means they are outgoing, they are social, they are very confident, and it's too right, of course, it's again unhealthy. They are very talkative when it comes to, they don't know when to stay quiet. They would laugh in places where they don't have to, where it's considered not good. They laugh during those situations. I mean, not in a fun way. I mean, I also laugh at situations where I should not, when my mom is scolding me, and I will laugh at her face, and she would start laughing at me again. But we're not talking about that, but in a very unhealthy way, they would just mock a very serious situation. They'll just mock it. So, again, that. And when we talk about the margins, if they are writing towards the left or in the middle of the page or in the right side of the page, if they're leaving good amount, a healthy margin, as they should, on left and right of the page, that means they're living in the present. Left means past, middle means present, right means future.
Oh, this is of the page.
Of a page.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So if you write in the left side of the page and right side of the page is pretty blank, I mean, not very big part of the page, I'm not saying that, but you can see left side of the margin is less than the right side of the margin, right? That means they live in the past. If they are writing in the middle of the page, left margins and right margins are somewhat equal, right? They live in the present. And if the right side of the margin is narrower than the left part of the page, than the left margin of the page, that means they leave the past behind and they are too much of future-oriented people. Very future-oriented. And that is unhealthy because they might not heal from the past. They're not healing. They're not going through the healing journey. They're just so eager to move into the future. And that's wrong too, right?
This is so interesting.
Right.
Okay, my question was
Yes.
this. I was going to come to this
Yeah.
question. You'll see many people, they'll, from the left side, they'll start with the margin. Okay? They're going with the line. At the end, the word is not completing. Right? So they'll not put the word in the next line.
Yeah.
Again, it's not intentional.
Yeah.
They are doing it by their own.
They'll just cram it and in that
Exactly.
space.
So even if I'm writing a word student, so I'll write STU and I'll put a dash and down I'll write DENT. Right? And then I'll start from next line.
Right.
Anyway, if it's for me or I'm even given to someone, I can put the whole student word in next line.
Next line,
Or-
Y too, yeah.
Or even I can write STU and then a dash and then start it from the next line.
Right.
DENT.
Right.
What that signifies.
So that
Because that is even cluster of words putting in there.
exactly. They'll just cram that word to have it fit in that space. If I'm not
Yes.
getting a question right,
Yeah,
that's what
that's
you mean,
true.
right?
That's true.
They'll write the whole script very nicely in proper way, and they'll just cram that word just to fit there, right? That means that they are still holding on to the past. While they do want to move in the future, they are holding on to the past.
But I'm talking about the right side of the page.
Yes.
Oh, so that signifies the past as well?
Yes. Because if they were not holding on to the past, they would have just put it on the next line, right? They're trying to fit it in one. And if they are trying to do that, they still want everything to fit. They are still living in the past. At the same time, they're wanting to move into the future as well. They are trying to fit that in that line. But if they let go of that word in the next line, that will be a very healthy margin, right?
Yes.
But they are not maintaining the healthy margin. They are fitting that word on the right side of the page. That signifies that they are wanting to move into the future. That is why they are trying to fit that word on the right side of the page.
So they want to rush into the future, leaving the past behind, but still they are sticking to the past, you're saying?
Somewhat, yes. It means that they are living in the past already, but they are eager to move into the future. That is how I'm wanting to sum it up. That they want to get into the future oriented thing, they are trying to, but something is still holding them in the past.
We talked about blank pages, the parallel, how it goes,
Yes.
then about left and right.
Yes.
Now, yeah, please.
Yeah, so I was saying that when the handwriting goes upwards, we missed
Yeah.
that part, right? When the handwriting is going upwards, future oriented, going upward, very outgoing, confident, because again, going upward. And when it's in the middle, very calm, composed personality. When it's going downwards, because as we have this notion associated with going down, it's a negative notion, right? Again, it's a negative aspect of the personality, that they are not confident, they are not leaning towards the future, they are still in the past and everything. Again, negative associations of the personality. So, for example, think of a person. I know someone. I analyzed their handwriting, and I was so upset. I wasn't upset. I got very sad, because I'm very attached to that person. Um, I know them since my childhood. So their handwriting was on the left. All the alphabets were in not upright or leaning towards the right. They were all left. Their upper part of the handwriting was too small. Their handwriting was going downwards.
To easily sum it up, that they don't think more about future.
Stuck in
They
the
are
past.
stuck in past, and they are very underconfident.
Yes. And I was so hurt at that time. I have been knowing this person since a long time. Sitting in the corner of the room, having the drinks by themselves, maybe, or not conversating with anyone. But that may be because of lack of confidence as well.
I think these are the cons of being a graphologist.
Yes.
That whichever handwriting you see, you quickly analyze it.
Yes.
And you see, okay,
Yes.
This person is like
yes.
this.
Yes, exactly. And there comes a time when I was very new to this. I was learning and I was practicing it. I was teaching other people as well. It became so exhausting for me, because the moment I saw somebody's handwriting, I was like, oh, what is it? What is it? How is this person? I was so into it that even though I shouldn't have, I went and analyzed their handwriting. I didn't tell them that, oh, I can tell, I am a graphologist, I can tell that this is your personality. I can tell like you are like that. No. I would judge people on the basis of that. And that became a negative part of me practicing graphology, which I shouldn't have, but I
think
still did.
It's a common thing among graphologists when they are new to the field.
Exactly, because you're so into it that you start to judge people on the basis of it. And it's one tip that do it only when it's necessary.
No, but it's with every profession, I feel, because
Yeah.
even in medicine, even in
Right.
anywhere, when you start practicing something, you start checking out everywhere because you want to practice it. You have to
Right.
be best in that.
Right.
So everywhere you see as a practice material.
I believe doing some part of it is healthy. Getting the consent. If you want to practice, get the consent of the person. That is the right way of doing it. Not taking the consent and not talking to them about it is the wrong way to go around. And just, doing it for your own selfish reasons. That is the wrong way. If you are a learner, my advice would be, if I met someone, I would tell them, I'm a graphologist and I'm learning graphology. I am a graphologist in making. Would you mind if I analyze your handwriting and we can talk about it? That is the healthy way of doing it, right? The other people will be interested and they would want to know what you analyzed. And if they say, yes, you are right, that will give you the validation as well. So the validation will boost your confidence.
True.
Right? So, of course, practice it all you want. All you want, however you want.
But with consent.
But with consent.
What about different hands that we use? Some people are right-handed, some
Yes.
people are left-handed.
Right.
Does it matter? How?
Somewhat, yes. Given the left-handed people or the right-handed people, some people can write with both hands.
Yeah.
There are a few talented people who can write with their own hands. But it depends, because sometimes when you are in a space and you have a lot of space on the right, usually when you sit, you would sit in the middle, but sometimes when you want space, you would want to have little more space on your right side, right? That will help you write the sample very nicely. But you have a lot of space on your right, but you are a lefty. Your hand is crammed. You would turn the notebook and then write it. You would have noticed a lot of lefties. For example, this is a page. They will, for a righty, I will keep the page straight and I will write. For lefties, they will turn the page.
Yeah, like this, they turn it.
Exactly.
And they write like this.
Exactly. They write like this. They don't write like this.
Why so?
Because that is their comfort. You always have to use your dominant hand. Dominant hand plays the role. Even if you're lefty, a lot of things would not be changed. You don't. For example, you gave me a sample of the handwriting, and you are a lefty, right? I would only get to know you are a lefty if you tell me, not otherwise.
But does it matter some way or the other?
It doesn't, because I know someone who is a lefty. Their handwriting is the worst. I mean, there's nothing as a bad handwriting, but yeah, if you ask me aesthetically, is it good? No. I have worked with them for 2 years, and oh my god, the handwriting is not good, and it's always been bad. And I had this friend in school. She was a lefty, and she had the most beautiful handwriting in the class. She was the best. Everybody who got the project of, making a file or maybe making a poster, everybody would just go to her, can you please write that heading for me in your cursive, pretty handwriting and everything. So that is the aesthetic part, which doesn't matter. But at the same time, a graphologist wouldn't know if you're a lefty or a righty just by looking at your handwriting. So just write with the dominant hand. That's it.
Today, we are more into technology.
Right.
We are more into typing than writing. And I have personally met people who have not written something from long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like their job is requiring them to type.
Right.
They're typing out on WhatsApp or somewhere.
Correct.
Then like everything is just typing down.
Right.
There's nothing about writing. And you'll see it's been 2-3 months they have written something.
Right. It's been a long time they even held a pen.
Exactly. So, and then suddenly they write something. Does that also matter, that how after how long are you writing something? How is it affecting our mental health, or how is it affecting our character? We're not writing anything at
It's
all.
been a long time that we have written,
Yeah.
right? Because at this age, we all are into typing. Our work is on computers. We are talking just by clicking on
Chatting.
the screen and everything. At the same time, I would say the shape does change when you are not into practice, but shape doesn't matter,
Mhm.
right? Because handwriting does not have to be aesthetically pleasing. It's about the characters that you write and how you're writing it. Are you completing all the alphabets? Are you writing all the alphabets? Is it going upwards or is it going downwards? Is it on the left or the right, or it's going straight?
So the main focus of writing something is to convey your message.
Is the pattern.
Exactly.
Yes, it's the pattern, as you said, but not how aesthetically beautiful it is. Because if you lose practice, okay, for example, give me one thing that you have not done since a while and you love to do it, or it was a part of your life. Give me any example right now.
I love to write poetry.
Right.
Long time I have not done it.
Okay.
Like from a long time. Yeah.
Okay, got it. For example,
Few months, I
for
would
a
say.
few months, and you lost the track of it right now, right? And you would feel, if I sit down,
I read it still. I
Right.
love to read it still.
Exactly.
But I'm not writing for few months. I don't know. It'll just come out of blue
Exactly.
and I'll write it maybe
Exactly.
tomorrow. Who knows?
For example, if you have to sit tomorrow, if you're asked that you have to sit and write something for me, you would feel that, okay, I don't know if I'm going to be able to write because it has to come naturally, right? But at the same time, you would still be able to write something. It won't be blank.
Yeah, true.
Because that is something you've been doing since a long time. You
Yeah,
haven't
so-
forgotten it.
Yeah. So I know how to do poetry. I
Right.
know how to write.
Exactly.
So maybe it will not be up to my mark that I love it,
Exactly.
but it will be something.
Exactly. It will be something. It
Yeah.
will be workable.
Yeah.
And it won't change your niche. For example, your poetry is on the romantic side, right? If, for example, you write
It
romantic
is.
poetry, right? So you like writing the romantic side of the poetry. You wouldn't go into feminist poetry,
Yeah.
right?
True.
You wouldn't talk about life when you are asked to do something very spontaneously. You would still stick to your old ways.
True.
So, for example, we are talking about the handwriting, you will still stick to your old ways
Old
of
ways of
writing,
writing.
of who you are, of who you have always been, right? So, again, it does not have to be aesthetically pleasing, aesthetically very beautiful. It just the patterns, how you are writing it, the alignment, the shape, not the aesthetic shape, but if you're completing the alphabet, if you're putting pressure or not, as we discussed about the pressure, all these characteristics play the role, not the beautiful part of it. Here, one more thing, no two people are the same, right? No two people are the same, personality wise. There are always differences, be it one single change or difference. No two people are the same. Same goes for handwriting. No two handwritings are identical.
Wow.
No
So
two
it's
handwritings
like
are identical.
Two fingerprints.
Two fingerprints, exactly.
Two signatures. They all are different.
One fingerprint, one unique fingerprint, one unique personality, one unique handwriting.
Wow.
That is one thing. No two handwritings are the same.
Can your handwriting tell you about your intelligence level?
I wouldn't say the intelligence level, but at the same time, if you, as we talked about the upper part of the body and the upper part of the handwriting, the upper part, so to tell about somebody's intellectual abilities,
Intelligence.
right?
Yeah.
So we can always, see the upper part of the handwriting, and we cannot just associate the upper part of the handwriting to the not the intellectual but the academic part, not the academic abilities of the person. Intellectual can be anything, literally anything. It can be sports, intellectual ability. It can be about sports,
So
right?
it can be about
Anything.
anything, basically.
Anything. Because there is no person in this world who has no idea about nothing.
Yeah, that's what I also believe doing this podcast. That not only TED speakers or TED Talks, speakers
Right.
have a story. Each individual has a story.
That's a story.
That's on us how we are able to dig it and
Correct.
take it out.
Correct. Exactly. Like we talked about, for the person who has the upper part of the handwriting very big, that means they have a lot of ideas, just not the outlet to take it out. right? And if it's short, it might be lack of confidence, it might be lack of ideas, but their projecting part is very good. They just don't have the ideas, right? It can be anything. So the size of the upper part of the handwriting will tell you about the intellectual abilities and how they project it, how they imagine it, how they work on it. So the upper part will tell you about the intellectual part of the person, intellectual part of the personality of the person, as I should say. Yeah.
Also, talking about handwritings and how we improve it in India.
Right.
As kids, you are kind of forced to have these cursive writing, handwriting notebooks,
Right.
and you have these summer vacations where you are you have been forced to
Calligraphy workshops.
Exactly.
You were asked. You
So-
were forced to go to the calligraphy workshops. Yeah.
just to improve your handwriting skills.
Right.
And I'd say I have filled like 30 of those notebooks in a
Correct.
year or something.
Correct.
And we were forced to do that somehow. Is forced handwriting or forced improvement of handwriting, does it affect somehow?
Okay.
So your handwriting can be very beautiful once it's
Right.
forced on,
Right.
but I don't know if your character becomes character changes, I would say.
Right. Okay. Were you ever forced to go to a calligraphy workshop, or your mom made you sit, okay, come sit with me, you have to write it this particular way, just follow the pattern that is on the first line, and you had to write 10 lines in the same way? Were you asked, or were you forced to a calligraphy workshop, or
Tell me-
anything to
Tell me a kid that is not.
there's me.
Oh,
I
you,
Yeah.
you must have very nice handwriting.
I did,
starting.
I did, but as you said, I haven't written anything in a long time now. But okay, but you were
Yes.
forced, right? So
So forceful means they wanted my handwriting to be beautiful,
right,
okay,
and you were asked to do it, and you did
Yeah.
the job at that
Yeah.
time, right?
and it improved.
For the time, for the time, it would have gone to the same ways as it was earlier, right? As it was in the past. For
So
example,
my original handwriting is as it is.
right,
Yeah, I would say some things changed. I picked up some characters from that handwriting, or some, I would say, not even characters, I would say, but some ways of writing from
Yeah.
that classes,
yeah.
and that I took into my handwriting, but not whole of it.
Okay, so I'll have a question here again. For example, you learned writing G in the very royal kind with all the zigzags and the curve on the top. For example,
Yes.
let's talk about the alphabet G. But when you are writing in the normal flow of your handwriting, do you still write that G, or when you consciously think, oh yeah, that G is beautiful, let's write that way, do you then write the G?
As I told you,
Yeah.
some things have changed permanently, I would say.
Right.
So, but they are very minor changes.
Correct.
So 4 to 5 changes are there
Right.
that have been a permanent change to my handwriting,
Right.
and that are obvious that I do it
Okay. Okay.
without even
Even
thinking.
casually.
Casually.
Right.
And of course, even those changes, if I know that I have to write it very beautifully or
Right.
beautify my handwriting into
Right.
something that I have to show to people,
Correct.
then yeah,
Okay.
I of course make it as
As beautiful,
beautiful as possible.
aesthetic as
Exactly.
possible, right? So, for example, as I don't know if I mentioned it yet or not. You evolve as a person, right? You grow, you evolve, you change. You're not the same person anymore. So does your handwriting. It won't. It keeps on changing. It won't be as it was in the past. It's going to be different in it. But at the same time, to answer your question, there are people say that there are correctional ways of improving your personality, bring a change in your handwriting, and it will change your personality. No, it's not going to do that. Changing, again, you have to do the inner work. If you have changes in your handwriting, somehow, you would also realize that I used to be that kind of a person. I'm not that person anymore. I've changed. And so has your handwriting. Of course, you put the best of you to impress someone, right?
Exactly.
So that they think that you are good at this, right? So again, that is not who you are. You want someone to perceive you as good. That is why your handwriting is good, right? If you want someone to think, okay, this is who I am, you'll write the normal handwriting. You won't change your handwriting for them,
That's true completely.
right? So more the embellishments, the more you want someone to like you. For example, as I said that the person who is writing very beautifully and their handwriting is very pretty, a lot of embellishments, not the casual kind, but a lot of embellishments, that again, that means they're pretending to be someone else.
Some people love to write with red pens. Others love to write with green color pens. In school, we used to have like blue is
Blue
for
pen.
us, then red is for
the
teachers, green is for the principal.
Right. Yes.
And
Yes.
this color psychology comes in some way. Does the so okay? Let's say I had 10 markers which I had to choose. I chose red to write down something here. Does it affect? Again,
kind of does.
it's
Yeah.
unconscious.
Of
It's just
course,
I
of
took
course,
it
of
like
course.
unconscious.
Of course.
But why I took only red? Why not blue? Why not black?
There could be different reasons. Maybe red is your favorite color. You love the color red. It could be that.
Okay.
But that does not answer your question, I know. At the same time, like you said, green is for the used to be for the principals, red for the teachers, blue and black for the kids, right? For the students. Again,
Even this matters. So black was for
headings,
titles,
titles,
and blue was for the
normal script.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly. So again, these colors actually affect us, and they are not being very unconsciously used by these head of authorities. Green, when a person actually likes to write with the green pen, that means they want to be considered as a very authoritative personality.
Wow.
Principal.
Okay.
Principal uses the green pen, right,
So
to
that
sign on the
psychology
letterhead.
comes in here.
Right. It does.
Okay.
It does. It sure does. Again, for red, authoritative, but to a certain level, not the head, right? Not the head, not the principal. To some level, authoritative personality. And if it's blue and black, very casual. Because of course, we are also taught in our school, in our formative years, during our alma mater and everything, that you are students, you have to write with blue and black. And now, even if I have a lot of pens, maybe a lot of different colors, if there is something, guys, it's usual. I'm just
You would
writing a
write with
usual
blue and
paragraph.
black.
I'll be writing it with blue and black. There is nothing special about this paragraph. Why should I take a different color of pen?
Exactly.
Right? It might also come, but at the same time, you don't want to be perceived as an authoritative person.
Again,
I just want to be me. I'm
Yeah.
just who I am. This is me.
Again, if you were taught that you have to write with green and only principal writes with blue, in that case, if any school teaches this thing to kids, then those kids would use blue as authoritative, right?
Right. Yeah, I get the point.
That's right.
Yes,
It's how you are taught.
exactly. It's how you are taught. Right. But being taught and then evolving, growing, and coming out, heading in the future and everything. If you feel that no, that's not me, I don't want to use the green pen, even though I was taught to follow the rules, I don't like the rule.
I want to use purple pen.
I want to use a purple pen, right? Then that person will stop using the green pen, even though he used green pen as a kid, as a student. He'll use the purple pen whenever he wants or whenever she wants. So, people do follow what they are taught to some extent, but at the same time, they will switch back to who they are. They will always come back to who they are.
You were talking about exam. That's right.
Yes, we were talking about the exam too, right? So, when we write an exam, we at the very beginning, so we have 3 hours to write the exam, right? And there are, for example, 10 questions to answer. oh, I have 3 hours, I'll write very beautifully, very nicely, I
Heading with the
have
black
time,
pen.
I'll write heading with the black pen, rest of the context with the blue pen, I'll impress. Extra marks for good handwriting will come into place here. Apsara's pencil, extra marks for the good handwriting, right? As time starts to, flow, you realize, okay, in this much time I haven't done as much as I should have, right? Now you feel that you are having a crunch of time. You start writing fast. It will, start getting a little stringy, maybe a little crooked or something like that, and you will still go with the flow. At the end, you are left with 30 hours. The teacher just
30
announced,
minutes.
yes, sorry, 30 minutes, my bad. The teacher just announced, you have last 30 minutes left. I'll not give any extra minute to any of the students. If you force me, I'll snatch the paper. That's how we are given the warning at school,
Yes.
right? At least I was. So,
Same for everybody.
right? Same for everybody. It's very universal of the teachers to do that. So, you were like, oh my god, I still have to do these many questions. I am short of time. You will just keep writing, even if you don't understand the words you are writing. You cannot yourself read what you've written, but you will just write it just for the sake of completing the exam.
And then we come to the last 5 minutes.
Last 5 minutes, oh, and then you'll be like, okay, just this the doctor's handwriting will come into place.
Actually, you are just writing
Yeah,
and you're looking there.
exactly.
Is teacher
Exactly.
coming to catch me and take the paper?
Right, exactly. And
True.
you remember in the beginning, as I said, you have a stringy handwriting because your mind is working faster than your hands.
True.
Same psychology plays when you're writing the exam. At the end, your mind is working so fast because you have to write your answer in that much of time that you're left with, that your mind is running, your mind is giving you the answer, but your hand is not fast enough to jot it down. So that is why the stringy handwriting. That is why when we need the sample of your handwriting, we want you to sit on a very comfortable chair and table and be in good space, have time. Not that you so that you can embellish your handwriting, no, but yeah,
The
to
original self.
original self can come on the paper.
As you told, you came into graphology seeing CID. So I'll talk about criminology a bit and
Right.
this forensics. So graphology plays a very important part in that.
Right.
And if we talk about how in criminal stuff this works, I have seen many movies.
Yeah.
Even have read many case studies
Right.
where criminals were caught because of their handwriting.
Right.
And how does that what are the main features they are checked, and how we conclude that okay, this is the same person has written this, and how does this thing work?
So again, I think the term that we need to use here is forging,
Forging, okay.
right? So you are copying somebody's handwriting, but you can tell, okay, these are not the same, right? That's what you mean. That is the most common thing that we have seen, that they match two handwritings. These are written by two different people, right? That's what they come to the conclusion. That's the conclusion that they have.
Or if they're written by the same one, so
Exactly. Right. So so when you look into the two different handwriting samples that you have, first thing always is the alignment.
So first of all, before even that,
Yes.
I would like to
Yes.
say they might look very similar.
Very similar. They might look identical, like literally identical. But I don't know what's the phrase for this in English, but in Hindi we use one. But if I have to translate it into English, every single criminal leaves their prints behind. Right? Every criminal leaves their prints behind. There'll always be a proof of something. There might be a tiny one, but there'll always be a proof that, okay, they have committed a crime. Their tracks are not clean. They'll always leave something to hold on to, which from where you can connect the dots further, right? There'll always be something that they leave behind.
True.
Right? So same goes for handwriting. If you're copying somebody's handwriting, you need brains to copy something, right? They say नकल के लिए भी अकल चाहिए. That means you need brains to even copy someone. You need to be smart enough that if you copy, it has to be identical. And no two people can write identically, even if they're copying something.
Even if they try their best, they cannot do that.
Yes,
right?
they cannot do that. That will not be identical. So when you analyze two handwritings, if they are the same, if they are written by the same person or not, these small things, the alignment, the what do you call it, the alphabet size, the middle part, upper part, and the lower part, if it's same or not, if the pressure is same or not, right? They won't be able to do
Because
that.
you don't know how what is the pressure they have
Exactly.
put.
If I'm a graphologist, right, and I know all these traits that are to be judged while analyzing the handwriting, even then I won't be able to match it 100% perfectly.
And it can be caught easily.
It can be caught easily. It might be difficult if somebody,
Is a professional in that.
is a professional in that it might be difficult, but a keen eye will always find it. Always find it. They might not be able to do with the naked eye. They might have to use a magnifying glass, but they will be able to get it.
Because the person wrote it originally.
Yeah.
And when you are writing it, it's not original.
Exactly.
You're trying to your best to make that stroke.
Exactly.
And you forgot to put the pressure.
Right.
Or you put a lot of pressure.
Exactly. Even the dot on the alphabet I, the shape of the dot matters.
Is it round or is it
Is
dot?
it like a circle? Is it like a dot? Is it the extended line of it maybe? Or if the dot is on the left, if the dot is in the middle, if the dot is on the right side of the eye.
If it's circle, it starts from right or start from left.
Yes,
How it
exactly.
goes, yeah.
Or how high is it?
Oh,
Consider this as an eye. Am I putting the dot here, here, or here? Here, here, or here?
or same way the line of T, I would say.
Exactly. If it's on the left, is it on the middle? Is it on the right? Is it even touching the line of the T? Or is it just in the air? Even that will matter. You would be, okay, so the alphabet I and T are used in so many words. You won't be able to avoid those alphabets, right?
True.
You would be able to match it 80% of the time. If I'm talking about a pro, they'll be able to match it 80% of the time, but 20% of the time they'll be doing it naturally the way they do. Now I might use the dot I on the left, on the middle, on the right, sometimes on the left, sometimes on the right, sometimes on the middle. It may vary, but at the same time, you're just not focusing on one character. You're just not focusing on one part of the handwriting, you're focusing on other parts of the handwriting as well. And when you analyze it, it's the accumulation of all the aspects, not just one. Right?
True.
So you will be taking a lot of things into the picture, you will be matching, and you will somehow find something off, and that will let you know, no, this is not the same person writing it. And if you have a doubt, oh, this might be the same person, just give them the pen and paper again. Don't give them the sample to copy.
Oh.
Just give them the paper, a blank paper, make them sit in an empty room and ask them to write.
Within, I think, a line or two, you will understand.
In the first line. Because again, I know what I have to look for.
Exactly.
Right? I have a sample already with me. Even if they write just one single line.
You know the source sample.
You know the source
and
sample.
the copied sample.
Exactly. So whenever in doubt, just give them a piece of paper and pen.
So when you look at a handwriting,
Yes.
If I would say top 5 to 10 things that you firstly look at it and you analyze, and what do you analyze in it? Let's be it this way and start it this way.
Yes. Okay. So when I first look at a handwriting, I see that.
Let's go point by point.
Okay. Let's go point by point. The first thing that I see is the handwriting going upwards, or is in the middle, or is it going downwards? Always. Because of course, okay, there might be an instance where the first paragraph is just fine and the last paragraph goes downwards or upwards, or it's not matching with the first
So
paragraph.
it's like macro view and micro view.
First of all, it's always the macro view.
Yeah, that's what. So
Yeah.
first of all, we go with the macro view,
Yes.
and then we go with the micro view.
Exactly. So, considering, okay, let's talk about the macro view first. Good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Let's use the macro view. I'll see are all the paragraphs the same. The alignment, if it's fine, is the alignment in the first paragraph being carried forward in the third paragraph as well?
If it's not,
If it's not, then the person started with a very calm and composed mindset, trying to beautify. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. Who would want the handwriting to go upwards since the beginning, right? But if it's going that way in the end, it's either going upward or downward. That will show you the true sense of a person, of their personality. That will tell you, okay, that is how exactly it is. And for example, if it's going that way, so the person is trying to hide who they are, but they are unable to. They failed. They failed to hide themselves. Their true self automatically came out. That happens in their real life as well. They try to be someone else, but they say, no, never mind, I'd rather be myself. I like my true self better, right? So it eventually comes out. That's a part of their personality. First thing, macro view mein, that we consider the alignment.
Okay.
And then the second thing that I look for is the margins.
Okay.
Because again, even if this page is this far, like this far, that would be the first thing.
You can easily see the
I
margins.
can easily see. I wouldn't have to look into it. Oh, where's the dot of the I? Is it here? Is it there? Or is the line on the T or right on point or not?
That is micro.
That is micro. So
Let's
just
only focus on macro.
on
for
the
now.
macro first, right? So alignment of the lines, the margins. The third will be if you are signing, if you are putting a signature at the end. Again,
So
the placement
signature
of
analysis
signature.
we'll talk about it.
No, again, but the placement will matter here.
Oh,
I'm
for
not
the
talking.
signatures.
Yes.
Okay.
If the signature is on the left side of the page, in the middle, or the right side of the page. Again, this is also considered as past, present, and future. Nothing new.
Wow.
Past, present, and future. Some people might, write on the left side of the page, but sign on the right side of the page. Right? Looking at the paragraphs, you will see, okay, they are past oriented. Right side of the page is empty, but they're signing on the right side. That means even though they are looking, they are living in the past, but they want to be recognized, they want recognition in the future, and they are working on it.
So this is in the situation when we have an option to sign anywhere.
Yes. Usually in the sample, when we ask to write a letter to yourself,
Blank page, as
yes,
you told, yeah.
on the blank page, we also request to sign the page. But it's up to the person if they want to or not. If they want signature analysis, of course it's mandatory. But if they don't want to, they can always skip the part. But we always suggest that you do that.
So just do signature at the end of the page.
Just at the end of the page, yes. Just sign it. That's about it. That's the only
So
instruction.
write a letter and sign it.
Yes. That's the instruction.
Okay.
So the placement of the signature, right? That would be the third aspect, the third point that we consider while we are talking about the macro points. Then going a little further, size of the upper part, middle part, and the lower part of the handwriting.
So it comes in macro, right? Still?
Macro only.
Okay.
Again, because it's very, it's very evident by looking into it. You don't have to see the small points and everything, okay? The fifth point would be, did the person make any mistake? While if they make a mistake in their handwriting, did they just leave it? Did they correct it? If they corrected it, is it a single line to, cross the wrong word or the wrong alphabet? Or did they overwrite on the same alphabet? Or did they just put a lot of circles and wrote the first word?
Okay. Let's talk about all three.
Right?
So
Very interesting.
When we strike,
yes.
when we overwrite, and when we just scribble and we just write again.
Right. Okay. So it's very literal. To be very honest, all these corrections are very literal when we talk about it. For example, if they overwrote it, they would want to hide it. They would want, okay, I made a mistake, but I have to correct. Some people won't even correct it. They'll just leave it wrong. Right? Okay. We're talking about the corrections, but let's first talk about if they don't even correct it, it's just wrong. Right? So that would be, they don't care. They don't learn from their mistakes. Right? For example, if somebody wrote the wrong spellings, that is different. That is completely different. Maybe they didn't know the correct spellings of a word, right? But I'm talking about the strokes. Everybody knows how to write an R. or how to write an alphabet
If
C.
they wrote R wrong and they didn't
They
correct
didn't correct it. Of course, they knew that's not the right way of writing the alphabet. They did a mistake and they did not correct it. That means they do not learn from their mistakes in life. They don't learn. Or even if they do, they don't take the steps to correct it. They just neglect it. They neglect their mistakes.
Interesting.
Right? And if they put a single line, a very clean line, that means they are very sorted. They put one single line, they learn from it, and they'll take care of it in the future. Right? Even if they repeat it again, that's fine. I mean, but they recognize.
Strike it out with a
Exactly.
single
They
line.
strike it out with one single line, very clean, very polished. If they overwrite the alphabet, that means they learn from it. They would rather hide it and just do it, write it there. For example, okay, the milk is not fine, the milk is not correct, the quantity of the milk is not correct. I would rather just, seal it and I'll put more milk in the cup only. Nobody would know, right? I'll heat the milk.
And that's it.
I'll just add it to the cup only. After I've poured the tea, I'm not going to put the entire tea in the teapot again and add more milk and give it a boil again. No. I would rather just take the shortcut. Overwriting is equals to shortcut.
Okay, so you want to just
Conceal it somehow.
Conceal it somehow. Yeah.
Yes, the shortcut way of doing it. So rather than doing the whole job again, adding the tea into the pot, adding more milk, giving it a boil, then pouring the tea again into the cup, no, that's not their way of doing it. I think the milk is less. I'll just heat the milk on the side and I'll pour it on
So they
top.
solve it, but in a small shortcut way.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Right? So overwriting is that. And if they, just put a lot of
They try their best that nothing should be visible.
exactly.
It
That
should be a box with the blue color.
right, exactly. So that means it would mean that when they make a mistake, they get very embarrassed about it. Very embarrassed. And they would rather hide it. And when they're correcting it, they're doing the circle thing, they'll put a lot of pressure to hide it. So when
On the back of page, you
can tell that, oh my god, the amount of pressure they're applied to conceal that mistake, right? To hide that mistake. So in the real life as well, if you're putting a lot of effort while cutting it out, that means in real life as well that you are too embarrassed of your mistake. You put so much effort, you put so much energy that nobody gets to know that you made a mistake. You would hide it with all your heart, with all your effort, that nobody gets to know. And they'll just rewrite the word. That means that they will rewrite or redo the thing in life. For example, I do it. I would be so embarrassed that I made a mistake, that people will know what mistake it was. I don't mind that people get to know that I made a mistake. It's fine by me. But I'll be so embarrassed for them to know what mistake I'd made, that I'll conceal it with all the means possible. All my effort will go into this, hence the pressure. All my means, all my efforts, all my energy will go into correcting that mistake, and I'll redo that again.
Okay, I'll add one more layer to it.
Yes.
There's another level of people, they add fluid there.
Exactly. That did came to my mind while I was talking to it, but I didn't cover it. So for them, they will own their mistake very gracefully, and then they will correct it and move forward.
Wow.
Right? They will own it. They'll accept it, and very gracefully. They wouldn't mind. Okay, I didn't make a mistake, but I'm correcting it.
I'm correcting it the best way I can.
The best way I can. That's
True.
the most positive mindset a person can have, right? I don't do it. I mean,
You would say, I think most intelligent people in class used to have that mindset to put.
again, if the handwriting is too embellished, they also might be able to conceal themselves, pretending I'm not this.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
So again, not just one particular characteristic can define who they are, but the culmination of all the characteristics. So we'll have
It's
to
a
see.
cumulative
Exactly. So
approach.
we'll have to see if the person is using a whitener or a fluid to hide the mistake and writing it again. it depends. So I cannot just consider that person that, oh, they are owning their mistakes very gracefully. I'll see, okay, they have used the fluid. What other aspects of their handwriting they have? If it's that, it means that. If they are writing their handwriting is very embellished, they are trying to hide something. They always conceal something, right? If they have an average handwriting, they're fine with who they are and they are actually taking it very gracefully, right? And at the same time, if there are negative negative aspects of the handwriting and they are using the whitener, that means they're trying to improve themselves.
So we are on macro 4 points.
Yes.
What is the next point? Macro.
Then for macro, I would just consider how tall the alphabets are, right? Or I mean, there are a few points for the. It's not macro either. It's not micro. It's nor macro nor micro. But there are other things as well that we take into handwriting if it's crammed.
So instead of writing, so there are 3 ways of writing, I would say. If you have to write tall, then either write TALL in a particular way that is normal. One is stretching it.
Right.
TALL.
L, taking the space. Right.
And third is just cramming it within
Exactly.
small space.
Exactly. So that does tell a lot about the person as well, the personality as well. If it's cramped, they don't like to take a lot of space in people's life. They would rather be confined. Right? If it's normal, again, healthy. They're fine. If it's expanded, they like to take a lot of space in other people's life as well. Attention seeking kind.
But our cursive writing hand books, they used to tell us to expand and write big. No?
It does, but we don't usually do what we are taught, right? We don't follow it till the end. we do learn, of course. We are taught, we do it. But at the same time, when we're writing in flow, when we are in the we're writing in a casual way, everybody has different handwritings. Everybody has their own style of handwriting. So it might be cramped. Your natural way of handwriting may be cramped, and that will tell you about the personality. Even though you were told that, no, take space, write it this way. That is the right way of writing it. That is the correct way of writing it, but they wouldn't.
You might write it like for a few days or a few months, but gradually you'll come back.
You will always circle around to how exactly
originally you are.
You right. Yes, exactly. So the cramped part, very timid, not very outgoing, not very social, very introvert, not taking a lot of space in other people's life. And then if you're taking a lot of space, you might be, you want to take space in people's life. You would be very attention seeking maybe. If it's too broad, you might be very attention seeking. Not in, if it's not that broad, then it's not that bad. Of course, you're not that focused on having space in other people's life. But if it's too wide, you know the answer. It's toxic. It's very, very dominating of that person to do that, to take that much space in people's life. They forget how to give other people personal space. Let's put it that way.
Is it crammed? Is it perfect? Is it wide enough?
Exactly. And then we'll get into micro. Are the curves or the loops complete? Are they broad? Are they very narrow? Or for the upper part of the handwriting as well, for the lower part of the handwriting as well? Then
sometimes I would say some handwritings, they don't even have loops.
Yes, they are just sticks.
Just sticks. So what does it tell?
So sticks actually represent, okay, so the loops are the emotions. And the sticks, they don't give more emphasis on emotions. They're suppressing their emotions.
So
that's what
as many loops are there, that means you're more emotional.
Yes, more emotional.
You were telling something else about loops as well, as big loops, small loops.
Yes. So the height of the loops, then again, because as we have talked about height, that if the height is tall, if the height is small, what that means, and if the loops come in play, then it brings the emotional part of the personality. For example, like we talked, like the loop is not finished, right? Incomplete loop. That means that you leave business unfinished, right? If the loops are open, like big loops, that means that they have so much emotion, it might be troubling them. Unhealthy emotions, unhealthy amount of emotions, right? And if it's in the upper part of the handwriting, the loops are too big. That means that okay, for example, the height of the upper part of the handwriting is big and it's loopy. That means, again, you have a lot of intellectual abilities, not finding the right way to, let it out. And if there are loops, there are emotions involved into this. Maybe you are too emotional, which is causing you to not being able to put it out. So loops in handwriting is equals to emotions. We always.
What about loops down, like G or Y?
Again, if you have, so like we talked about the lower part of the body, we didn't actually talked much about it, but the lower part of the body really does talk about the lower part of the handwriting. That means your, let's consider their sexual interests, their how they like to let that out, and maybe how interested they are, what kind of emotions are involved with them. So
So your like loops of down loops, like G or Y,
right,
they tell you about your down part of what, let's say, your sexual health.
exactly.
And your sexual fantasies or
Yes,
anything
yes,
about.
exactly. And if it's too dominant, then it means that these aspects of life are very dominating part of their
They matter to
personality.
you a lot.
Yes.
If it's like
Yes.
big loop.
No, I mean the lower part of the handwriting.
If it's very dominant.
Yes. If it's very dominant, then the other part of
And by dominance, what we mean, like
height.
height. Okay.
Let's height. Yeah.
Height. Okay.
So that would be considered as the your sexual fantasies, your outlets, and everything. And the sticks will be the emotionless part. You have emotions, you maybe suppress it.
And if
everybody has emotions, right?
So if Y or G is like just a stick down,
you probably, not for sure, you probably suppress your sexual fantasies.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So, and if it's loopy, then you associate your emotional part of the life with your sexual fantasies, maybe. Or it's very socially connecting for you. Emotionally connecting for you. So, loops is equals to emotions. Stick-like figures, we call it stick-like figures. So, stick-like figures is suppression of the emotion.
I think it's very harmful to date a graphologist.
Okay.
You need to.
I
you
know.
should never show the handwriting. The other person can know anything and everything about you.
Exactly. That is where it comes into role, that you have to be very much in control of yourself.
Like if you don't think to check a handwriting, you will do it because you have the skill.
Unconsciously. Exactly.
You have the skill.
Unconsciously
Unconsciously it will happen.
And it took me so much of my time and effort to develop this habit of not analyzing everybody's handwriting that I come across. And today, in today's world as well, you don't actually find somebody's handwriting like very casually, because nobody writes anymore. Nobody.
Like if you're dating a graphologist or a psychologist, it's like the emotions that you have, it's already unweaved.
Exactly.
They're open in front of them,
Right.
and they know what is happening.
Yeah. And for them to analyze, okay, if they're saying something, that is where they're coming from. Or that's a part of their personality. I've already seen their handwriting. Maybe that person has already written me love letters, and I've already, analyzed you.
Analyze it, yeah.
And for example, I haven't ever received a love letter. Okay, that's the first.
Okay.
And even if I receive it, there'll be a few lines. Okay, if the
I
person
think
tells me,
before reading the love letter, you will check the graphology of it.
yeah, exactly. If they've written "I love you," is love in in the alignment? Is it in the same line, or do they have positive emotions connected to the word love? Is it up or is it down, or do they have negative emotions towards it? I mean, I would go bonkers. I would literally go bonkers if I read a love letter written to me. I mean, I would be like, I would rather make the love letter about him, not me anymore.
I think you would first of all say, okay, I'll tell you tomorrow. Give me 10 hours. I need to analyze.
Exactly. Just give me some time. Give me my space, man. I mean, they wouldn't even know. I mean, if somebody, a prospective a boyfriend or a partner or whoever, I wouldn't even tell them I'm a graphologist, just to to see. And then I would, in just cute talks and sweet talks, oh, I've never received a love letter, would you please write me one, just to know what that person is, or should I take this forward or not? That would be a graphologist trick to know if the person is right to date or no.
Very harmful.
Very harmful if done that way. But yes, it's a wonderful skill to learn, and you don't even have to. Okay, one other thing, you don't have to be into psychology to learn graphology. Anybody can learn graphology
These are
as
just-
much as they interests them.
These are like, I think they're just facts. If you
Exactly.
learn them, that's it.
Exactly.
After that, you don't have to keep reading or something.
Right.
You know the things. You can see anyone's handwriting and you know the basics.
Exactly. And learning graphology, the facts that you said that they're very literal. Very literal. Going up, this. Middle is healthy. Going down is negative. Left is negative, upright is fine, right is positive.
Very
Right?
easy to learn.
Very easy to learn. It's nothing that you have to cram. It's very factual, very literal. You don't have to, like, incomplete strokes. You leave the
Incomplete
task.
life.
Yeah, incomplete task. You do not complete it. So it's very literal. You don't have to cram. It's just the facts. That's about it. Nothing else. Literally
True.
nothing else. It's that easy. All it takes is practice with consent of the person in front of you.
And we were talking about micro. What else we are
Yes.
going in micro?
So in micro, as we talked about the upper strokes and the lower strokes, then it comes, the second would be the eyes on the dots on the eyes, sorry. And then the strokes on the alphabets, the alphabet T, or I think that's the only one that we
Then
have.
we have F,
Yes.
alphabet F, where
Yes.
we have loops on both
Exactly,
sides.
exactly. Loops on both sides. Some people might have stick-like figure in the upper part of the handwriting and loops on
Loop
the
down.
lower.
Then or loop up and stick down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you know where their emotions are leading them. Are their emotions more dominant towards their intellectual part of their personality, or
What if someone loves to write some way and they're not writing it? Example. I write it like simple, as
Yeah,
people
yeah.
write F,
Yeah.
right? Loop on both sides.
right?
But I love to write it this way.
Yes.
The upper loop and down just like this. Maybe I saw it somewhere and I loved it. How it looks. I'm not able to make the similar one.
Correct. No, I get
because
it.
that was very beautiful. What I
Right.
saw like this
Right.
simply. But sometimes you are in the process of making a change in your handwriting.
Right.
And it might take you an year or so.
Yes.
But does that mean the character of yours is also evolving some way? As you told,
Right.
writing changes and your character changes.
Yes, yes. So, as I said, making conscious changes in the handwriting won't make conscious changes in your personality.
But again, it's not conscious change, I would say. It's
But
like
you okay, so you would feel it's not conscious, but it is given. Okay, you saw it somewhere, you liked it, you're trying to put it in your handwriting.
Got
So
it.
again, it's conscious,
oh,
right? You're not wanting to write it that way, but you just liked it casually. When you were writing it first time or the second time, you thought, yeah, let me write it that way. It looks very nice, and then it becomes a part of your handwriting. So it was again a conscious change.
again, this has
Right.
been like, I think 4 to 5 years I have been trying it. And
Right.
wherever I am very conscious to write and I want to write it very beautiful,
Yeah.
I write it that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, simple way.
Exactly.
As I am.
As you are, right?
Yeah.
So I think that answers your question, right? And for me personally, I thought I can bring changes in myself once I got to know that, oh, this is where my handwriting lacks, or this is where I can tell because my handwriting is like this. That shows I am like that. I need to change that part of my life. I personally tried bringing changes in my handwriting to see if that changes any part of my personality, but it doesn't. It only changed because I got to know after I analyzed my handwriting that this is where I need to work on. I did the inner work,
And it
and that
automatically changed the handwriting.
exactly.
So many people say this thing, change the way you do signatures. It will affect.
It will affect, yes. I should have mentioned it earlier. Handwriting analysis or handwriting is who you are. It's the inner part of you. It's the inner personality of you. And signature is how you want to be perceived by other people.
Oh,
It's not who you are. It's
wow.
how you want to be perceived by other people.
So how you want someone to look at you.
Yes. That
And
is
handwriting is something
who you
who you are.
originally are. Yes.
So changing your signatures might have an effect.
Yes. How people look at you.
About signatures, what are the things we look at? If we have to make changes, how should they be? Or let's even start with this thing. What type of signatures you should not have?
There's not really a correct answer to it, to be
Okay.
very honest, because again, this is something that should come from within you, right? But if we talk about the correctional ways of it, you should never have the small script signatures. For example, I'll tell you, when we analyze signature, we never ask just a blank paper with your signature on it. No. We would always want you to write a small paragraph or 3-4 lines for us and then do your signature. I'll tell you why. For example, the script is small and your signatures are big. The small script will give you an idea of the person who actually is. But they want to be perceived as a bigger person, who they are not. Right? They would want to have an impact on people, or the person would want other people to, perceive him of who he is not. He might be very shy, he might be very underconfident, but he would want other people to, take him seriously or think of him as a big person.
Does location of your signature also matters on the blank
100%?
page?
100%. Not on the blank page,
Okay.
with the paragraph.
Okay. With the paragraph.
Always with the paragraph.
How does it matter?
Okay, so if it's on the left, the script is on the left, the signature is on the right. The person is living in the past, but he's putting conscious effort into moving into the future because the signature is on the right side of the paper, but at the same time he would want other people to think that he does not live in the past. He's a very future oriented person.
Okay.
Right?
That is there's a way how you want people to look
To
at
perceive you.
Okay.
Exactly.
To perceive you.
Yes, to look at you. No,
Yeah,
you use the right
Yeah,
words
yeah.
as well. So left is past, middle is present, right is future.
The same way as
Same way as the handwriting goes. So for example, if I have a same script, if I write the same script, and if I have the signatures that are in the same size of the handwriting, very same. So I want people to look at me of how I am.
Okay.
I don't want to put a front in front of me that no, people should not see me who I am. I'm very confident. This is who I am, and I want people to know who I am. And then comes if the signatures are very small, right? I don't want recognition. I would rather be not
Hidden.
remembered, hidden.
Okay.
Yes. I don't want people's attention.
Lost in the pages.
Lost in the pages. That could be, right? And another thing is if you write your full name or not. If you write just your first name, or do you just write your last name?
How does that matter?
Okay. For example, in India, I know about India, just India, I would rather say, that girls are taught not to write your last name because after you get married, you'll change your surname, you'll have to change your signature. We'll not take that into account because that is what we are taught. That is not what comes from within. So
Okay.
we'll ignore that part. We'll not take because it's not universal, right? So for the first part of the name, if my full name is Nishtha Khattar, right? If I'm just writing the name Nishtha, I only want recognition for who I am, not where I come from. And I don't give a lot of focus on my family. I do, but they are my priority as well. But not all my decisions will be taken considering my family. Just me. I'll give myself the priority when I'm taking any decision in my life.
Okay.
Right? And if you write the full name, that means you are considering your family as well. You are balancing it. Even though signatures are how you want people to perceive you. Even though. But again, it does the amount of...
It does show you.
Exactly, somehow. So the full name, the first name and the last name will bring that out. If you're using the full name, then it means that you are considering your family as well, right? If it's just the last name, you give more priority to your family.
And less priority to yourself.
You would rather take the decisions just for your family, even if you have to neglect yourself, your needs. You would prioritize your family's
Many people
needs.
use one character of the last name and the first name.
Right, that will tell you the ratio,
Okay.
right? Because they are using the last name more dominantly in the signature and the initial of your first name in the signature.
Or if it's last name has like one alphabet and the first name has full, that means
The ratio
perfect,
again.
yeah.
Yes. Right?
True.
So, and again, the first alphabet of your signature, for example, if I write Nishtha Khattar, right, are the N alphabet and the alphabet K capitals or big in size. That means I want people to consider me as a person of authority, or I want to leave impression, I want people to remember me. And if I am not using any capital letter, all the alphabets, even N in the name Nishtha, is small. That means I don't have, what do you call it, the need or the drive to be recognized. To put it more into it, I don't consider myself that important myself to put the effort of writing that alphabet in capitals.
Okay.
Yeah. So these things, even the dots that you put, the line that you put under your signature will matter.
How?
So the line is always, it signifies that how much you value yourself. If there are two lines, if there's one line, how much you want people to know that you value yourself. That will be the line part of it.
And what about the dots?
The dots, it depends on the placement. Is it under the line? If you see Amitabh Bachchan's signature, there's a line and two dots.
Okay.
I think, if I'm not wrong, it's either Shah Rukh Khan or Amitabh Bachchan.
Okay.
And they both use their full names. And the dots signifies the importance of the family again and the significance they place on themselves. That will be the two dots again. To read
What
into
about the height of the characters?
height, again, as it is in the handwriting.
Okay.
Same way. Is it, and also the alignment, is it going upwards, is it going straight, or is it going downwards?
How does that affect?
Like the handwriting again.
Same way.
Same way. Literally, this alignment rules apply the same, even if it's handwriting or it's signatures. It's always going to remain the same. The placement, the alignment will always stay universal for handwriting and for signature. The major difference is just that handwriting is who you are and signature is how you want the world to see you.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Have you ever done that at the back of your notebook on the last page? You've signed it a lot of times.
Yeah.
In many different ways.
Yeah.
Because you are deciding on how you want your signature to look. You've given
Very
so
true.
many hidden trials. You've given so many examples to your own self about how my signature should look like.
Wow.
Hence,
I never-
hence, this is how you want the world to look at you, and it will keep changing. You will
I-
only keep it. I'm so sorry. You will only keep it same because you have immigration documents or bank documents that need your signature to be same all the time. But you would always think, should I change my signature? This looks so much better.
This is so true.
Right.
Like, you always try it to be the best, to showcase
Exactly.
your
Exactly.
signature should look beautiful. It should look
Right.
very.
If I'm signing in front of someone, they should be mesmerized by my signatures.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is how you want the world to look at you.
This is so informative. This is
Very interesting,
Yeah.
and it just strikes you in some ways that you never thought of.
These many details
Right.
are possible in such a small aspect.
Right, exactly. It's very interesting, and I would suggest everybody to learn graphology. It's that interesting. Even if you don't want to use it in the future, you should know the basics. You should always know the basics. It's not that it's a very important skill. No, you should have it. No, but just for fun. It's such
Why
a
not?
nice. Why not? It's so intriguing, and I cannot find any single person I've talked to about graphology, and they've said, "Oh, this is so boring. Let's not talk about it."
It's really interesting.
It's very interesting.
Because everyone has a handwriting.
Yes.
You can check anyone's handwriting and their skills and everything about them.
Right, exactly.
The basic characters.
Right, and it's all different. It's all unique to one person.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's handwriting, as we talk, that nobody's handwriting is overlapping.
I hope people will show immense love to this podcast, and
I
we'll,
hope so too.
we'll have a whole series based on graphology,
I would love that.
and people will learn about it. And
Yeah.
from Mug Talks, people will love to know about
Graphology.
Graphology.
Yes.
personally me as well. I would
And
love it.
graphology is one subject that people don't know about. Maybe Mug Talks will be able to bring graphology
Thank you.
into light of so many people that it actually becomes a great, skill or a great thing to learn for people because Mug Talks made it and
Thank
gave
you
that
very
much of
much.
importance to it.
Thank you very much. It was an amazing podcast, a very informative, a very
Yeah.
factual one, I would say.
Right.
And I was very amazed, I would say, or I was very interested to host this podcast.
Yeah. No, but it was so nice talking to you, being on this podcast. I did not feel that somebody's interviewing me on anything. It was like somebody's actually wanting to learn graphology, that they have this much interest that, oh my god, oh, this happens and that happens. It was like talking to a friend, honestly. But thank you
very
so much for
It was an
having
honor.
me. Thank you so much for having
Thank
me,
you
though.
very much.